Today we're going to be talking about mounts, dismounts and remounts. Just going to mention a couple of changes. Now we've got more information on the character status. It actually tells you in game, which is great for new people to learn, that your DCI is capped at 45, and it tells you a couple of other caps that it didn't before you had to look things up in a website. The same is true for some buffs that we've got and debuffs. Before there was loads missing, so well done to the devs for putting those in. Incidentally, on the topic of buffs and information, one thing I forgot to mention on the first video is, let's go to the options, help tooltips. If you drag the delay before tooltip appears all the way down to 100, the tooltips appear a lot quicker. Just a little tip. Okay. In UO, your most important survival tool is your mount. When you're on foot, you are vulnerable. You're going to be the first target, so we're going to teach you how to dismount someone and prevent being dismounted yourself. So one thing to remember about having a mount is you need an actual mount. In other words, an ethereal statuette is no good because it takes too long to get mounted. The best mount you can get in game, if you're not a tamer, is a faction horse. Just join a faction. You only need to be rank 2 to be able to ride one. It would help if you could ride one at rank 1, but there you go. The advantage of a faction horse over any other mount is, firstly, it's got more hit points than any other mount with no taming. That includes a swampy. And the other advantage is you can resurrect your own pet without any veterinary skill needed or animal law. Okay, we're going to show you how to dismount someone. We're going to use bowlers. These are great because you've got a 100% chance of hitting someone with it if they're on screen. So defense chance isn't going to help you avoid one of these. So in order to use a bowler, if you try and use one, you can't use this one on a mount. So you need to dismount yourself first and then swing the bowler. I'm going to show you just quickly how to make a macro to do that. It's really simple. The macro will consist of dismount, pause, and then use a bowler. You can put all this on one macro. In Pinko's UI, it will look like this: dismount, pause, bowler. The delay, you need a delay, otherwise you'll just get a message saying you can't perform this action. Depending on your connection, depends on how long you want the delay to be. If you've got a bad connection, generally you'll need a longer delay. On UO assist, the macro will look like this: use item, that's yourself, pause 1000, and then use item type. When you're recording the macro, it will look like use item, pause, use item. Right click this and click convert to use item type. Then that will work on any bowler, not just that specific bowler. That's true for making macros with apples and everything. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to dismount someone. You run up to them, preferably someone will sleep them first. They're going to be running away, remember. You press your macro. After you swing the bowler, teleport. This helps you travel a bit more distance, okay? Because when people are running away, you probably won't reach them if you're just running on foot trying to bowler them without teleporting. One thing you need to remember is after you swung a bowler, you're disarmed. So try to avoid doing it if you're around death strikers. So as soon as you've swung that bowler, remember to arm yourself, because otherwise you've got no DCI unless you've got wrestling. Okay, you need a mage weapon in your hand, or some kind of weapon in your hand if you've got a weapon skill. Now I'm just going to show you how to avoid being bowlered yourself. If somebody goes to bowler you, what you will notice is after bowlering your target or being bowlered yourself, you are subject to delay on getting mounted. You swing the bowler, I'm subject to a 10-second delay. My target is also subject to that 10-second delay after being bowlered. Okay, but what we can do is, we know we're going to get bowlered. We're in a situation where we can't avoid that, so here's where the mount comes into play. What we can do is, when you see a guy coming at you swinging the bowler, what you want to do is you want to dismount yourself, and then the character who's swinging the bowler will not be able to dismount you, because the character will receive an error message that says you cannot bowler someone who is already off their mount. So I'll just demonstrate here. I'm going to swing the bowler, and to avoid it I'm going to get off the mount myself, and then I'm going to remount, and I'm away, but the guy doing the bowler is still subject to that time delay. Now, I cannot stress how important it is to have a macro to actually dismount yourself and remount yourself. The reason why you don't have time to double click yourself or double click your mount to get mounted and dismounted is if someone's swinging a bowler at you, or you can see someone's going to possibly take a shot at you with a crossbow. Whilst you're running away, if you have to double click yourself, you're going to stop running because the mouse comes over to you, so you're going to need the macro to get off your horse whilst you're moving. Now, as for why you need a macro to mount your own pet, sometimes you're going to get surrounded by lots of monsters and all sorts of people around you, and you can't actually find your pet. You'll find it's difficult to find your pet and double click it with everyone all around you, so it's a lot easier just to spam the mount button and you're away, no hassle. Other macros that you need to assign for your pets are to resurrect it, so that will be use item, bandage, and then target your horse. Reason you need it on a macro, same in the heat of battle, you haven't got time to rummage around in your backpack, you haven't got your horse's bar, you won't be able to find it, you need to just assign that to a macro. So the macro, like use item, you just convert that to use item type, so that's the bandage. Target, that will be your pet. You can do a similar thing in Pinko's UI. It will look like stored pet 1, and then clean bandage, and then what it's targeting will be the current target. That should work on both clients. The other macros that you want to have for your pet are to control it. So everyone, not just tamers, needs all follow me, kill, guard, stay. I'll tell you a bit later why you need those. And stop and follow. This one has dual use. Firstly, call your pet something unique rather than a horse. Reason you want to tell it to stop and follow is sometimes when someone's attacking it, the pet will sort of automatically fight back. You'll try to mount it and you'll get a an error message that reads you can't get on a mount whilst that is fighting. Even if you tell it to follow you, it's still fighting, so you need to tell it to stop and follow, and eventually you should be able to get mounted. Okay. The other reason the stop and follow is handy is sometimes when you're dismounted, you might be using summons or, let's say, another pet like a room beetle on your target. So you've been dismounted, you want to tell your pets or pet to kill someone, but hang on a sec, you need your horse back. If you just say all follow me, your demon's going to stop attacking. So you want to say all kill and then use your own specific pet to stop and follow you. So that's got dual use there. Okay, now what we want to do is once we've got our target on foot, we want to prevent them from getting mounted again. Okay, so we can do one of three things. You can either kill the pet as quick as possible. Sometimes that's not really convenient. You know, you don't really have time to kill, especially a warhorse with all the hit points it has. But if you can kill the pet, yeah, kill it. You know, if it's just a swampy, that will die pretty quickly. So you want to prevent them from getting mounted. Depending on the pet, depends on what you want to do to it, and depending also on the situation. If you're in a dungeon, most of the time the best thing to do to stop someone from getting mounted is to poison the pet. Okay, so I'm going to show from both sides now what you can do to defend as well. So your pet's poisoned. Again, you're in the heat of battle, you don't have your pet's bar, you're surrounded by all sorts, there's no way I'm going to be able to target my pet. Okay, I haven't got a specific macro to cure my pet, I'm not that sad. So what we can do instead is just use Arch Cure, and again you don't even have to click anywhere near you, just Arch Cure yourself and you've cured your pet and yourself if you were poisoned as well, and you're away. Okay, so cure can be poison can be cured pretty easily, and yeah, they're going to get mounted. The other option we've got to prevent someone from getting mounted is paralyze. This is good in some situations. I can't mount the pet now. It's difficult to get the pet out of paralysation. Reason being, if your target weakens the pet or something, or hits it, sometimes, I was fine that time, but sometimes you get the message, the mount is too busy fighting. Okay, another problem with paralysing someone's pet is, you're going to be in a group of people, or you might be in a dungeon, and other people might release the pet. So it depends on the situation. It depends on the pet. If there's a dreadmare, paralysed doesn't last too long, but then again, neither does cure. It depends on the situation, what you want to do. The only thing you can do to defend yourself against paralysing the pet is, apart from just weaken it, you can train it in resist, and then hopefully paralyse won't last too long. Okay, hopefully you've learnt now why pets are so important in the field. You might even notice, if you are running around with a mount with a group of people and you're in the middle of a battle, if you've got a mount, chances are the guys are actually going to dismount someone who's got an ethereal. That's what I would do when I'm dismounting someone. I choose the guy with an ethereal because I know he can't get mounted. If you're riding a warhorse, people just don't even bother sometimes. Okay. Okay, that concludes this week's training. Hopefully you've learnt something there. Next week we're going to be talking about your survival kit. That's everything in your backpack you need in Fell.